Welcome to the bonus episode of the System That Man Built podcast. I'm Alice.
And I'm Brian. And today, we're stepping outside the chapters. No summaries, no breakdowns, no technical deep dives. This episode is about the story behind the story, the legacy of the SST Alpha engine, the philosophy that shaped it, and the future it points toward.
Because after 7 episodes, after 14 chapters, after hundreds of pages of engineering, psychology, philosophy, and evolution, there's still something left to say.
Something bigger, something more human, something that ties the entire journey together.
This is the episode where we talk about what SST means, not just as a trading system, but as a statement about what one person can build when they refuse to accept the limits placed on them.
The story behind the story.
Let's start with something that's easy to forget. SST wasn't built by a team. It wasn't built by a startup. It wasn't built by a hedge fund.
It was built by one person, one builder, one desk, one machine, one vision.
And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because the world of trading, especially algorithmic trading, is dominated by institutions, by firms with billions in capital, by teams of PhDs, by proprietary systems locked behind NDAs and firewalls.
Retail traders aren't supposed to build things like this. They're supposed to subscribe. They're supposed to follow alerts. They're supposed to consume, not create.
But SST breaks that narrative. It says you don't need permission to build something extraordinary.
The humanity of the system.
One of the most surprising things about SST is how human it feels. Not because it mimics emotion, it doesn't, but because it was built to compensate for human weaknesses.
Fear, greed, hesitation, overconfidence, FOMO, revenge trading.
The system isn't trying to be human, it's trying to protect the human.
And that's the heart of the story. SST isn't a machine replacing a trader. It's a machine supporting a trader.
It's a co-pilot, a partner, a stabilizer, a guardian.
The genome as a mirror.
Let's talk about the genome. Because after 324 generations, it becomes something more than an intelligence layer. It becomes a mirror.
A mirror that reflects the truth about the market. Not the myths, not the textbooks, not the YouTube tutorials. The truth.
Volume matters, momentum matters, trend matters, insider buying matters, confluence matters.
MACD, not so much. RSI rising, not really. Lagging indicators, barely relevant.
The genome doesn't flatter anyone. It doesn't care about tradition. It doesn't care about popularity. It doesn't care about what traders want to be true.
It cares about outcomes. It cares about what works. It cares about what survives.
The system as a teacher.
One of the most beautiful things about SST is that it teaches. Not through lectures, not through theory, through transparency.
Every decision, every score, every basis tag, every weight, every evolution.
It shows its work. It reveals its reasoning. It explains its logic.
It's the opposite of a black box. It's a glass box, a teaching machine.
And that's why the trading terminal matters so much. Because it turns the system into a classroom. A place where traders can see how an intelligent system thinks.
The future. The Omega vision.
Let's talk about the future, because the book ends with the Alpha engine, but the roadmap points towards something much bigger.
Omega, the multi-asset engine, the expansion into futures, forex, crypto, bonds.
The architecture doesn't change, the genome expands, the intelligence grows.
And the terminal becomes the cockpit for all of it.
This isn't a trading tool, it's a platform, a foundation, a beginning.
The philosophy. Why this matters.
Let's zoom out. Why does this story matter? Why does this system matter? Why does this book matter?
Because it proves something profound. You don't need a hedge fund to build intelligence. You don't need a team to build evolution. You don't need permission to innovate.
You need architecture. You need discipline. You need persistence. You need a willingness to learn from failure.
And you need the courage to build something the world has never seen.
The legacy of SST.
The legacy of SST isn't the genome. It isn't the terminal. It isn't the agents. It isn't the risk stack.
The legacy is the idea that one person can build a system that learns, a system that evolves, a system that grows, a system that protects, a system that teaches.
The legacy is the democratization of AI trading, not by giving everyone the same tool, but by proving that the tools are accessible.
The legacy is empowerment. The legacy is possibility. The legacy is the refusal to accept limits.
The final word.
If there's one message this entire story leaves behind, it's this.
You are not outmatched. You are not powerless. You are not stuck in the retail world's limitations.
You can build, you can innovate, you can evolve, you can create something extraordinary.
The system that man built is more than a trading engine. It's a blueprint for what's possible when you stop consuming and start creating.
And that's the real story. That's the real legacy. That's the real power of SST.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
This has been the bonus episode of the System That Man Built podcast.
And the beginning of everything that comes next.